तो असी हुण सुखमनी साहिब पढ़िया भी सुनिया भी, तो गुरु दे ज्ञान विचों असी विचारा लैनिया। हुण साइकोलॉजी भी हैगी आ, साइंस भी हैगी आ, पर सब तो उत्तम चीज़ गुरबानी साडा गुरु हैगा। So we're going to talk in English and Punjabi, and we're going to talk about mental well-being and mental health, but we're going to take Gurbani as our guru and share some contemplations and reflections from there. So ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਵੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਆਂਢੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਦੋਸਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਤਾਂ ਜਾਣਦਾ ਹੋਗਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਹੋਗਾ, ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋਗਾ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ, ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਗਾ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਿਆਨ ਲਈਏ, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਵਾਸਤੇ, मानसिक रोग वास्ते? महाराज कहते आ नानक दुखिया सब संसार, नानक दुखिया सब संसार। वे ये नहीं किसी नूं असी देखिए वे ओदा मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम आ, जां ओनू हाँ फलाने दी नौ जां किसी दा चाचा। नानक गुरु नानक सानू दसदे ने वे असी सारे दुखियां, संसार रोगी, नाम दारू मैल लागे सच बिना। That सारा संसार, the whole world is rogi, the whole world is suffering. Guru Nanak Dev Ji tells us वे ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਰੋਗ ਲੱਗਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਰੋਗ ਲੱਗਾ। ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੇ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਰੋਗ ਲੱਗਾ ਵੇ, ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਛ ਕਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ। Sometimes mental health is so serious they can't operate in life. कई टाइम हुंदा वे असी ठीक आ अपने काम करते हैं, पर कदी कदी जां असी सोग विच पै जांदे आ, जां असी चिंता फिकरां दे विच पै जांदे आ। Anxiety, depression, sometimes we all experience that. पर महाराज सानू दसने वे हर टाइम असी जां दुख विच आ जां सुख विच आ, सारियां नू सानू experience ਹੁੰਦਾ। We can all be in suffering, we can all be in peace. ਇਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਣਾ, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਲੇਬਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਵਾਸਤੇ? Why don't we talk about mental health? ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਈਦਾ ਇਹ ਪਾਗਲ ਆ। ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੀ ਮਾਤਾ ਜੀ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਦਾ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦਈਦਾ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਛੋਟੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਇਹਦਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਖਰਾਬ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਇਹ ਮਿੱਠੇ ਬੋਲਿਆ, ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਬੋਲਿਆ, ਦਇਆ ਦੇ ਬੋਲਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪੇ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਖਰਾਬ ਆ, ਇਹ ਪਾਗਲ ਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੱਚ ਬੋਲੀਏ ਆਪਣੇ ਦਿਲੋਂ। ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਦੇਈਦਾ ਵੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਤੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਬਣ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਦਿਲ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਲਗਾ, ਤੂੰ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਬਣ। ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਥੱਲੇ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਗੱਲ ਨਾ ਕਰ, ਰੋ ਨਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। Don't cry about it. Don't say what's wrong with you. We give people labels. We say they're crazy. We say become a sher. Just ignore what's happening in your life. ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੇ ਉਹਦਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਵੇ ਇਹ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹਦਾ ਵਿਆਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ। ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ? ਲੋਕ ਲੱਜਾ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ opinion, ਸਾਡੇ opinion ਮੋਹਰੇ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, when we put others' opinions above what we need, that's called ਲੋਕ ਲੱਜਾ। It's caring about what people think, it's going with the crowd. ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੇ ਹੁਣ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਸਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ ਵੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੋਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕਾਉਂਸਲਿੰਗ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ। ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਘਰ ਦੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਆ, ਨੂੰਹ ਦੀ, ਸੱਸ ਦੀ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਘਰ ਲੈ ਲਓ, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਲਚਰ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਕੀ ਕਲਚਰ ਆ। ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਹੁਣ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ। ਹੁਣ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਜੀ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਵੀ ਸੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਨਾਲ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਗਾਂਹ ਥਿੰਕਿੰਗ ਆ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਇਆ ਇੱਥੇ। ਅਸੀਂ 3 ਵਾਰੀ ਵੀਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਸੈਸ਼ਨਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਗੁਰਮਤ ਲੈ ਕੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੇ ਜਿਹਾ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹੋ ਕੇ, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਹੋ, ਡਰਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਮੋਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਈਏ, ਹੈਲਪ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਈਏ। ਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਕੋਈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹੀਏ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਲਓ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਤਮ ਹੈਲਪ ਆ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦਾ। ਪਰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਵੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਿੰਗ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ, ਡਾਕਟਰ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਚੰਗੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ, ਮਦਦ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਉੱਤਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ, ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣਾ। ਹੁਣ ਕਿਸੇ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਂਝੀਆਂ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਹਲਕੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਮਿਲਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕੁਛ ਕਹਿਣਾ। We shouldn't be scared of what people are going to say to us. We should take that help when it's here. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੀਏ ਵੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹਾਂ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਲਿਆ ਵੀ ਕਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਲਥ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ, ਨਾਨਕ ਦੁਖੀਆ ਸਭ ਸੰਸਾਰ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੁਖੀ ਹਾਂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹਾਂ? ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚੀਏ, ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੀਏ, ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰੀਏ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੋਕ ਲੱਜਾ ਦੇਖ ਲਿਆ ਵੀ ਅਗਲਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ। ਸਾਰੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਉਮਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਜੇ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋਣਾ। ਹੁਣ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਲੈ ਆਓ। ਜੇ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜੇ ਕੰਮ ਮਿਲ ਗਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਵੇ ਹੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰ ਲਓ ਪਤ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਵਿਆਹ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਠੀਕ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ। ਵਿਆਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਫਿਰ ਹਾਲੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ, ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਲੈ ਲਓ। ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਬੱਚਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਕੀ? ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਇਹਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਆ। ਜੇ ਹਸਬੈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਜਾਂ ਵਾਈਫ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲੀ, ਕੋਈ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ, ਫਿਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ। ਜਦੋਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਵੀ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਸੁਖੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮਿਲ ਗਈ, ਫਿਰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਖੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ, ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਆਹ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਨਾਲ, ਬੱਚੇ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਨਾਲ, ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਹੈਲਥ ਚਲ ਗਿਆ, ਰੋਗ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੀ ਹੈਲਥ ਚਲ ਗਈ। ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਲਚਰ, ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ, ਟੀਵੀ 'ਤੇ, ਡਾਕਟਰਾਂ 'ਤੇ, ਸਕੂਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਅਤੇ ਕੰਮਾਂ 'ਚ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਬਣਨਾ, ਆਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੂਗੀਆਂ, ਪੈਸੇ ਮਿਲੂਗੇ, ਘਰ ਮਿਲੂਗਾ, ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋ ਗਏ, ਫਿਰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣੀ ਆ। ਪਰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋਣਾ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ, ਅੰਦਰ ਦੇਖ। ਆਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਮੂਲ ਹੈ ਮਾਇਆ। ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੋਹ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ। ਪਰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਆਏ ਆ ਇੱਥੇ। Why have we come here? It's not to collate money, to create relationships, because when we don't have those things, we become dukhi again. Why are we really here? ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨੇ, ਭਈ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਮਨੁੱਖ ਦੇ ਹੁਰੀਆ, ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਮਿਲਨ ਕੀ ਇਹ ਤੇਰੀ ਬਰੀਆ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲੈਣ ਨੂੰ, ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਲੈਣ ਨੂੰ, ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਏ। ਅਸੀਂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਮਿਲਣ ਨੂੰ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਨੂੰ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ। ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਗਈ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਸੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਗਏ। ਬਾਹਰ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੋਗਾ, ਮੌਤ ਵੀ ਹੋਗੀ, ਸਾਡੀ ਰਿਲੇਸ਼ਨਸ਼ਿਪਸ ਵੀ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓਗੇ, ਸਾਡੀ ਹੈਲਥ ਵੀ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਓਗੀ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ। ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਬੁਲਾਉਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ। ਪਰ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੇ ਇਹ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋਣ, ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਹੈਪੀਨੈਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ? ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਆ? ਤਾਂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਮਨ ਤੂੰ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਹੈ, ਆਪਣਾ ਮੂਲ ਪਛਾਣ, ਮਨ ਹਰ ਜੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈ, ਗੁਰਮਤੀ ਰੰਗਮਾਨ। ਵੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਣੇ। ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਚੰਗਾ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਉਹ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਜੋਤ ਆ, ਅਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਾੜਾ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਉਹ ਨਹੀਂ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਸਭ ਮਹਿ ਜੋਤ, ਜੋਤ ਹੈ ਸੋਏ ਤਿਸ ਤੇ ਚਾਨਣ, ਸਭ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਨਣ ਹੋਏ। ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਜੋਤ ਆ। ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਲਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ। ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਮਝਣ ਲਈ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹੀ ਵੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣੀ ਵੀ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਖੋਜ ਕੀਤਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ। ਹੁਣ ਇੱਕ ਬ੍ਰਹਮ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਸੀ ਭਾਈ ਬਾਬਾ ਨੰਦ ਜੀ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਆਇਆ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ, ਤੇ ਭਾਈ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਵੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਨਿਤਨੇਮ ਕੀਆ, ਤੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਰੋਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਵੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਰੋਜ਼ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ? ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਹਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਆ, ਇਹਦਾ ਵੀ ਫਲ ਹੈਗਾ ਫਲ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਨੀ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ। ਜੋ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਹੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ, ਆਪਣੇ ਅਟੈਚਮੈਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਰਲੀ ਆਈਏ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਤੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੇ ਜਿਹੇ ਲੇਟ ਉੱਠੇ, ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਡੀ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਜ਼ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੀ ਸੀ, ਤੇ ਹਸਬੈਂਡ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਵੇ ਬੰਪਸ 'ਤੇ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਛੇਤੀ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੀ। ਨਿੱਕੀਆਂ ਨਿੱਕੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਲ ਨੂੰ ਦੁੱਖ ਲੱਗਦਾ, ਪਰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਲਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਵੀ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਹੁਣ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖੀਏ, ਅਸੀਂ ਮੰਗਲਾਚਰਨ ਕੀਤਾ, ਪਹਿਲਾ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਚਾਰਨ ਕੀਤਾ, ਆਦਿ ਗੁਰੇ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਗੁਰੇ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ? ਅਸਤਪਦੀ, ਸਿਮਰੋ ਸਿਮਰ ਸਿਮਰ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਵੋ, ਸਿਮਰੋ ਸਿਮਰ ਸਿਮਰ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਵੋ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਲਿਊਸ਼ਨ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਸਿਮਰੋ ਇੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਆ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਹਾ ਆ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕਹੈ ਸੇਵਕ ਜਨ ਮਾਨੈ। ਜੋ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ? ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਇਹ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਜਾਂ TV 'ਤੇ ਟੇਪ 'ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਲਾ ਲਿਆ ਪਾਠ, ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਵੀ ਲਿਆ ਪਾਠ, ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਠੀਏ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਚੁਗਲੀ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਕਰਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਿਛਲੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੋਚਣ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ, ਅਸੀਂ ਵੈਰ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਪਏ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਸਵਾਸ ਸਵਾਸ ਸਿਮਰੋ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ। ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰੀਏ? ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗਦਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਦੇ, ਮਨ ਇੱਧਰ ਉੱਧਰ ਫਿਰਦਾ, ਡੋਲਦਾ ਆ ਰੋਜ਼। ਪਰ ਜੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਿੱਖਣੀ ਆ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਆ। ਹੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੋਟੀਆਂ ਪਕਾਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਕੀਤਾ, ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਕੀਤਾ। We have to practice something that we want to get good at. Maharaj is telling us, do the Simran. Don't just read the part, that's good, but do it. How do we learn to do it? When we're doing our kam, we do the part and then we get up and we start gossiping. We start getting into worries. We start remembering the past. So how do we do it? Maharaj says we have to practice it. If we learn how to make roti, we have to practice it. ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ, ਕੰਮ 'ਤੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਨਵਾਂ ਕੰਮ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਹੁੰਦਾ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਈਕਲ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ 2 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਈਕਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਚਲਾਉਣਾ, ਅਤੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਸੀ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਡਿੱਗ ਵੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਪਰ ਉੱਠ ਵੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ ਆ, ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ, ਹੈ ਨਾ। ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਡਿੱਗ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ। ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਡੋਲਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ, ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਮਿਹਨਤ ਕਰਨੀ ਪੈਣੀ, ਉੱਦਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ। ਜਦੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਰੋਟੀ ਪਕਾਉਣੀ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੋਟੀ ਪਕਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਕੰਮ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੰਮ 'ਤੇ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕੰਮ। ਹੁਣ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਕਰਨਾ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਬਣਨਾ ਆ। ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਬਣੋ, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ। We've got to become ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ. First we practice, then we become it. Then we become a state of ਸਿਮਰਨ। ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਠ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਲਿਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਖ ਲਿਆ ਗੁਟਕਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਅਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਚੁਗਲੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਗਏ, ਚਿੰਤਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਗਏ। ਅਭਿਆਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ। ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ, ਜੁਗਤੀ ਸਿਖਾਈ, ਤਰੀਕਾ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ। ਸਾਰੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਨਾਮ ਜਪੋ, ਨਾਮ ਜਪੋ, ਨਾਮ ਜਪਰੋ ਅਵਰੋ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਾਓ। That we should jap naam. This is the solution. We should get others to jap naam. But has anybody ever taught us how to jap naam? ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਆਉਂਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ। ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਛ ਮਿਲਦਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਠੰਡੇ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਚਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਫਿਰ ਕੋਈ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਸ ਪੈਂਦਾ। ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣੀ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਅਸੀਂ ਘਰ ਵੀ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਕਰਨਾ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਨਾ? How are we supposed to do this Simran? We come to the Gurdwara, we take a lot from being in the Sangat, we take a lot from hearing Guru's bhajan, but when we leave this building, we need to take that with us and we need to practice this at home. So how do we do it? Maharaj kende a, gaviye, suniye, man rakhiye pao. ਇਹ ਜੁਗਤੀ ਆ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੀ ਜਪਜੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਵੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਾਉਣਾ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਆ। ਕਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਲੈਣਾ? ਸਵਾਸ ਸਵਾਸ ਲੈਣਾ, ਉਠਤ ਬੈਠਤ ਸੋਵਤ ਜਾਗਤ। We need to take God's name. How many times? With every breath. When we're sleeping, when we're walking, when we're doing our ਕੰਮ, ਆਟਾ ਗੁੰਨਦੇ, ਆਪਣਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ, ਹਰ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਣਾ। ਕਿਉਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਪਣਾ? ਕਰਕੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸੋਚਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਫੁਰਨੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਮਾਇਆ ਦੇ ਬਣੇ ਆ, ਪੰਜ ਚੋਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਣੇ ਆ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚ ਲਿਆ ਵੇ ਇਹਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਕਿਉਂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਦੁਬਦਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਵੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ, ਸਾਡੇ ਫੁਰਨੇ ਮਾਇਆ ਦੇ ਬਣੇ ਆ। ਪੰਜ ਚੋਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਸਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, ਕਾਮ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ। ਜੇ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਜੇ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਗਰੀਡ, ਲੋਭ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਹੋਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ, ਹੋਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ। ਫਿਰ ਮੋਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਬਣ ਜਾਂਦੀ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰਾ, ਮੇਰੀ ਕਮਾਈ, ਮੇਰੇ ਘਰ ਵਾਲੇ। ਫਿਰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ? ਸਾਡਾ ਅਹੰਕਾਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ। ਜੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਫਿਰ ਚਲੇ ਗਈ, ਪੈਸਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, ਮਨ ਦੇ ਰੋਗ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ, ਤਨ ਦੇ ਰੋਗ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ, ਮੇਰੀ ਹੈਲਥ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਸਾਡਾ ਅਹੰਕਾਰ ਦੁੱਖ ਲੱਗਦਾ। ਅਹੰਕਾਰ ਨੂੰ, ਸਾਡੀ ਜੋਤ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਕਦੀ ਦੁੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਗ ਸਕਦਾ, ਪਰ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹਉਮੈ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਦੁੱਖ ਲੱਗਦਾ। ਤੇ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਵੀ ਇਹਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿਉਂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਕਿਉਂ ਕਿਹਾ। ਜਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੋਹ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ, ਚਿੰਤਾ ਫਿਕਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਹੋਣਾ। ਹੁਣ ਕੋਵਿਡ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ, ਲੋਕਡਾਊਨ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ, ਸਾਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਚਿੰਤਾ ਫਿਕਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਣਾ, ਕੀ ਹੋਣਾ। ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਆ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਜੋ ਅਨਹੋਣੀ ਹੋਏ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਵੀ ਕੀ ਹੋਣਾ। ਸਾਡੇ ਪਾਣੇ, ਸਾਡੇ ਹੁਕਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਚੱਲਦੀ। Everything is in Vaiguru's hukam. We think our hukam should come first. Why? Because that's what we've been taught. We've been taught, get the job, get the husband, get the family, and when things don't go our way, we become dukhi. But Maharaj ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਹੁਕਮ ਰਜਾਈ ਚੱਲਣਾ। ਕਿਹਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ? ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਆਸਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ, ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਮਤਲਬ ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਚੱਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਘਟਾਉਣਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੈ? ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨਾ ਹੋਣ, ਪਿਛਲੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ, ਮੋਹਲੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ, ਦੁਬਿਧਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨਾ ਹੋਣ ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਰੱਬ ਦੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ, ਰੱਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੁੜਨਾ ਆ। ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਨਾਮ ਤਾਂ ਹਉਮੈ ਇੱਕ ਭਾਂਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਬ ਦੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ। ਹੁਣ ਸਵੇਰੇ ਹੋਇਆ, ਆਪਣੀ ਬੇਟੀ ਉਹ ਠੀਕ ਜਿਹੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਠਾਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਮੰਮੀ। ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਆਈ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜੱਫੀ ਪਾਈ, ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਜੱਫੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਜੱਫੀ। ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਜੱਫੀ ਪਾਈ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਟੀ, ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਬੁਲਾਈ ਗਈ, ਮੰਮੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਬੁਲਾਏ ਗਏ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਪੁੱਤ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ, ਮੈਂ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਪਾਣੀ ਪੀਣਾ, ਕੀ ਲੈਣਾ। ਉੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਰੀ ਗਈ, ਮੰਮੀ ਮੰਮੀ ਮੰਮੀ। ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ। ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਹੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਕੀਤਾ। ਪਰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਚੱਲਦਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਬਣੇ। ਹੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਸਿਮਰੋ ਸਿਮਰ ਸਿਮਰ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਵੋ, ਕੀ ਮਿਲਦਾ? ਸੁਖ ਮਿਲਦਾ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਗਾਂਹ ਚਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਰੱਬ ਦੀ ਸਿਫਤ ਸਲਾਹ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਫਿਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਖ ਮਿਲਦਾ। ਕਲ ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਤਨ ਮਾਹੇ ਮਿਟਾਵੋ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਤਨ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਲੇਸ਼, ਸਾਡੇ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਦੇ ਕਲੇਸ਼, ਮਾਇਆ ਦੇ ਕਲੇਸ਼, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਚਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਨ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਲੇਸ਼, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਚਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ। ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰੀਏ? ਗਾਵੀਏ, ਸੁਣੀਏ, ਮਨ ਰੱਖੀਏ ਪਾਓ। ਆਓ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟਿਸ ਕਰੀਏ, ਅਭਿਆਸ ਕਰੀਏ, ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰੀਏ। ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕੀਤਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਘਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਟਰਾਈ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਤਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਦਇਆ ਵੀ ਮੋਹ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ। ਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਤਾ ਆ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਡਿਫੀਕਲਟੀ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਆ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕੋਈ ਮਿਲੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਚਣਾ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜੱਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਮੋੜ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਣਾ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ, ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨਾ। ਆਓ ਫਿਰ ਟਰਾਈ ਕਰੀਏ। ਅੱਖਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਕੇ, ਟੂਈ ਸਿੱਧੀ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੋਝੀ ਮਿਲੇ, ਸੁਮਤ ਮਿਲੇ, ਨਾਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੁੜੀਏ। ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਮੰਗਣਾ? ਸਿਰ ਦੁੱਖਾਂ ਕੇ ਦੁੱਖ, ਦੇਹ ਨਾਮ ਸੰਤੋਖਿਆ, ਉਤਰੇ ਮਨ ਕੀ ਭੁੱਖ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਚੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਬੋਲਣਾ, ਗਾਉਣਾ, ਗਾਵੀਏ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਟਿਕਾਉਣਾ, ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਣੀਏ। ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਫੈਰਨਾ ਆ, ਇੱਧਰ ਉੱਧਰ ਜਾਣਾ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੋੜ ਕੇ ਲਿਆਉਣਾ, ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਮੋੜਨਾ ਆ। ਮਨ ਜੀਤੇ ਜਗ ਜੀਤ। ਜਿੰਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਭਿਆਸ ਕਰੋਗੇ, ਓਨਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਮਨ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਬਣੂਗਾ। ਮਨ ਰੱਖੀਏ ਪਾਓ, ਪਿਆਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ, ਨਿਮਰਤਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਵੇ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੰਨਣਾ, ਸਾਡਾ ਹੁਕਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਲਣਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਜਪੂਗੇ, ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਜਪੀਏ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਚੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਬੋਲਣਾ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਝਗੜਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕ੍ਰੋਧ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਚੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਬੋਲਦੇ, ਪਰ ਉਦੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕੁਛ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੱਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਹੌਲੀ ਹੌਲੀ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਰ ਇਹ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਤਮ ਕਰਮ ਆ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਲੈਣਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਚੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਬੋਲੀਏ। ਜਿੰਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਚੀ ਬੋਲਣਾ, ਓਨਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਫੁਰਨੇ, ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਘਟਨੇ ਆ। ਉੱਚੀ ਉੱਚੀ ਬੋਲਣਾ। ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀਆਂ, ਮਾਫ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ। ਇਹੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਘਰ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾਮ ਜਪੀਏ, ਸਿਮਰੋ ਸਿਮਰ ਸਿਮਰ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਵੋ, ਕਲ ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਤਨ ਮਾਹੇ ਮਿਟਾਵੋ। ਇਹੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਤਰੀਕਾ ਆ, ਇਹ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰੀਏ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਬਣੀ ਹੈ, ਫਿਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਰੋਗ ਮਿਟ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਹੁਣ ਭਾਈ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਘੰਟੇ ਲਈ ਕਥਾ ਕਰੂਗਾ, ਬੇਸਿਕਸ ਆਫ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਤੋਂ ਜਰਨੀ ਆਫ ਕੰਪੈਸ਼ਨ, ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਮੈਂਟਲ ਵੈਲਬੀਇੰਗ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਾਂਝੀਆਂ ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸਚ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਮਨ ਤੂੰ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਹੈ, ਆਪਣਾ ਮੂਲ ਪਛਾਣ। ਮਨ ਹਰ ਜੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈ, ਗੁਰਮਤੀ ਰੰਗ ਮਾਣ। ਮੂਲ ਪਛਾਣੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਹੁ ਜਾਣੈ, ਮਰਨ ਜੀਵਨ ਕੀ ਸੋਝੀ ਹੋਈ। ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦੀ ਏਕੋ ਜਾਣੈ, ਤਾਂ ਦੂਜਾ ਭਾਉ ਨਾ ਹੋਈ। ਮਨ ਸ਼ਾਂਤ ਆਈ ਵੱਜੀ ਵਾਧਾਈ, ਤਾਂ ਹੋਆ ਪਰਵਾਨ। ਯੋ ਕਹੈ ਨਾਨਕ ਮਨ ਤੂੰ ਜੋਤ ਸਰੂਪ ਹੈ, ਆਪਣਾ ਮੂਲ ਪਛਾਣ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। So ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, just before we get started, I put a little presentation together. It would sound amazing if I said I worked on it for weeks, but I actually worked on it on the M40 on the way here. So I spent about 45 minutes on it. And for me, I think that's the best way I work, is under pressure. Everyone has their own way of working. Some people like to take the time on prepping things. Myself, when I'm under pressure, I seem to work better. And it was, I think, when you prepare something in that moment, just before you're about to deliver something, I think you're able to connect to it better. So before we get started, most of what I go through will be in English, and so that we can all connect. And I know not everyone that comes to the Gurdwara on a Sunday is used to being a part of something and actually joining in. And it's often very much, you come and you listen to somebody doing kirtan, maybe saying a few words, and then you go home. But let's try and do something together. Let's do something together today. And to be able to do that, the first thing we're going to need for that is, I think, for everyone to feel more a part of this. So for everyone to come and sit closer, and my sisters and my mothers to come and sit on this side as well. So ਇੱਧਰ ਆ ਕੇ ਬਹਿ ਜਾਓ, ਇੱਥੇ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ, ਇੱਥੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨਾ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਕੁਛ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਕਰੀਏ, ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋਊਗਾ ਆਉਣ ਦਾ। ਇੱਥੇ ਲਾਗੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਬਹਿ ਜਾਓ। So everybody come and sit here close. And before we do start, the other benti is one of my regular, don't be scared. Remember, like I always say this, don't feel that there's like a line that you're going to cross and then some sort of bomb is going to be designated where it explodes. I promise there's nothing that's going to explode. So there is no line. You can come as close as you want. All right. Pali, why don't you show them how it's done? Look, why don't you fill up this gap here? Like, just kind of be a bit of a, fill up this gap here. I don't know why everybody's so shy. That's better. Because this, Benji, why are you sitting all the way up there? To see video. It's like you're about to fall off the edge. I remember, the further back you sit, the more questions I'm going to ask you. So if you want to be picked on the least, then sit closer. I might change my mind. Just saying. Don't want to be called a liar. because we've often got this. A lot of people think that when you come here, we have to sit here like somebody's beating us up. And we don't have to look like that. It's okay, right? So we don't have to sit here and feel like somebody's given us a beating and made us sit here. We can come here and we can sit and relax. We can smile. It's all okay. I always go with one of my favorite lines from Gurbani where Guru Sahib Ji talk about Hasandeyan, Khelandeyan, Penandeyan, Khavandeyan, Viche Hove Mukh. And in these lines, Guru Sahib Ji says, approach life in this way. And the first thing they say in this line is Hasandeyan. So, an approach to life. And some of you may have heard this as you were growing up. And those of you that have come from households that speak a lot of Punjabi, you would have come across this saying. They would say, look, we're living this life, and as we are living, Jindagi apan jiune. I heard this many of times growing up, saying, Jaan ta tusi has ke jiyo lo, jaan ta tusi ro ke jiyo lo. You can laugh, and you can take it lightly, or you can cry, and about everything in life. Moan and complain about everything in life. Because we talk about, Benji mentioned Sifat Salah. And Sifat Salah, so what does that mean, just to make sure everyone's with us and awake? Benji, what Salah? Apa je kehne Parmeshwar di Salana karni, udi Sifat karni. Sorry? Appreciate, so the word more accurately is to praise God. And if you think about, we can either be praising the Creator, or what's the opposite to that? Obviously, the direct opposite, normally we'll see in Gurbani, is translated as slandering, but let's use a few other words. If we're not praising God, what are we likely to do end up doing instead? Moaning? Yeah, we'll probably be moaning. Ay ki ho gaya, mar gaye, lot gaye, itna kaate ho gayi, oh fe ho gaya, hi. Right, so we're either going to be crying, we're going to be saying hi, or we can praise. And how would you rather live your life? Would you rather live your life crying and moaning, number one, or would you rather live your life taking it lightly, laughing and praising? Number one, who's for number one? Crying and moaning about life? Number two, lightly laughing and, yes, all right. And those of you that didn't put your hands up, you don't want to play the game? Come on, Sangji, you've come here now. You've come to the Gurdwara. You might as well join us, right? And I know some of you are sitting up against the walls. And if the wall needs you, that's fine. Or if you need the wall, that's fine too. If you don't, come and join us here. But do you find yourself, even though it's an obvious choice, isn't it? We all laughed when I said who would choose the first one, is go through life moaning and crying. We all thought, well, no, of course not. We all went for the obvious choice that we want to go through life taking it lightly, and we want to instead be in this state of praise. But do you find in life that we do find ourselves moaning? So who does moaning? Like, let's now be real and a bit authentic. Yeah. Sorry? Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, I'm sure we've done it this morning as we were trying to get ready to get out of the house. Especially those of us that have got kids. Yeah, it's not easy, is it? So it's so important, even for us to be in this space when we come to a Gurdwara Sahib. We should have this opportunity not to just sit and listen, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji, during Guru Nanak Dev Ji's time, it's made very clear by Gurdas Ji that all the Sangat had an opportunity to take part. And Bhai Gurdas Ji said, Gyan, Gosht, Charcha, Sada. That Mukho Bani Uchariye, that Bhai Gurdas Ji saying Guru Nanak Dev Ji would recite Gurbani, but it wouldn't stop there. But unfortunately, it's become that in a Gurdwara, somebody recites Gurbani, somebody sings Gurbani, somebody does Katha, but the Sangat doesn't get an opportunity to say, well, I didn't quite get that. Just because you explained it, it doesn't mean I understood it, right? But it did happen in Kartarpur Sahib by Gurdas Ji, so clear that Gyan, Gosht. So the wisdom that Guru Nanak Dev Ji shared, Gosht. Gosht means where it becomes a two-way thing. Then just because I sit here and do a katha, it doesn't mean you've taken everything away in the way I've said it. I might be clear in myself what I'm saying, or even some speakers aren't clear themselves, let's be honest, right? And I might be clear within myself. It doesn't mean you're interpreting it the way I'm saying it. So you should have the opportunity to say, did you understand that? Did you understand it like this? So it's a very important part of building this into a Gurdwara Sahib, of where the Sangat has this opportunity to take part. So Sangat Ji, we all know that, yes, even though it's not the ideal and what we want in our lives, but we all know we live our life in a way, even the way we don't want to, because we feel stuck. We get into a rut, and it feels like we can't break that rut, right? So even though we all said we want to live, we want to take life lightly, we want to laugh, but we all said, yes, we've probably complained and moaned even this morning, right? So that's being realistic, and that's called being authentic in today's new age language and world. In Gurbani, the Guru often talks about 4 different qualities for us to try and embrace and take into our lives. And the Guru calls them our decoration and our something that we decorate ourselves with. Are those 4 coming to mind as I'm speaking? There's often, sometimes there's a 5th that is added to that list. There's often 4 different qualities that the Guru says for us to live by. Doesn't mean that we're able to live by them all the time. It's something that we aspire to live towards. That list of 4. Is anybody going to help me out and start off? Sorry? Yeah, so that's the 3rd one. But you're on the right lines, yes. I love Daya. Speaking about Daya, obviously that's why our organization is called Journey of Compassion. So 3rd one is often Daya. The 1st one is, truth. So shall we say them all together? Sat, Santokh, Daya, Dharam, Shingar, Banavon. So Shingar means how we decorate ourselves. I've not got any jewelry on today, sorry, so I can't really show you an example. But it's not the jewelry that the Guru is talking about. The Guru wants us to wear jewelry, but which jewelry? Sat, so it's truth. But truth has got so many layers to it. What comes to your lot's mind when you first hear the word truth? What comes to mind when you hear the word truth? Banji, you can't answer everything. You've got to give everyone else a chance. I know you're one of those star students in the class. Right? Tusi dujjian nu chance denne hunne si school. Just asking. All right, so Benji, when nobody else answers, then we'll come to you because you're obviously on fire. Okay, so what comes to mind for you in your lives when you hear the word truth? ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸੁਣਨੇ ਆ ਸੱਚ ਜਾਂ ਸੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਵਾਸਤੇ? I can speak Punjabi. Wow. Sorry? There's a presence before you. That's an amazing way of looking at it. Oh, thank you for that. There's a presence before you. What comes in mind for you? Speaking the truth. Definitely, it's a layer of practicing the truth, isn't it? Also, a part of practicing the truth is often being authentic and real to ourselves of our current state of mind. Sometimes it's hard to admit what we're actually experiencing emotionally and what we're going through. And that's a layer of truth. Sometimes we don't want to believe it. Sometimes we're feeling low and we're feeling down, but we don't want to say it even to ourselves. And we try and deny it and we run away from it. And there's many ways of trying to run away from what we're actually experiencing today. What's one of the ways we run away from what we're going through? Social media. Right? So and I know we've got a mixed sangat here. Who is on social media here? Uncle G not on social media? Didn't think so. Who's on social media? Okay, who goes on social media every day? It's my job, I have to, right? I wish I didn't have to, but So there's many ways today for us to run away from what's really going on inside of us. So ਜੇ ਸੱਤ ਵੱਲ ਹੀ ਵੇਖੀਏ, ਇੱਕ ਵੇਖੋ ਸੱਤ ਦਾ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਇਹ ਆ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਆ। ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਉਦਾਸੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਉਹ ਰਾਜ਼ੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ। ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਕਹਿਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਔਖਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ। So we find it difficult. What I do is encourage people to, instead of running away from that emotion, and then I've even heard people saying, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ। And Amritaris get it the worst. I don't know what people think Amritaris become when they receive Amrit. I think they think that's it. They're immortal, they're emotionless, they're not human anymore. And there's just this, we might as well say to Amritaris, I thought you was a robot. No, it doesn't work like that, by the way, Sangatji. Amritaris have the same emotions as every other human being on this planet. That's why Guru Nanak Dev Ji encouraged the language to say we are all human beings. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji was asked this question, they said, who do you belong to? And what did Guru Nanak Dev Ji answer? So the yogis sat and said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, we've got these 12 different sects of yogis, and this is said to be the highest of sects. And that's the name of that sect was called the Ai, right? Ai Panthi. Panthi means, you can translate, Panth literally means path. So this path to God or enlightenment. They said that the highest way of yogis is something called Ai Panthi. And they said to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, what clan do you belong to? Group do you belong to? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, Ai Panthi Sagal. All right, everybody complete this sentence. Ai Panthi, Sagal Jamati. What? Yeah. What does Jamati mean? So the oldies will know this. Does any of the young ones? I class myself as a young one, I think. I'm not sure anymore, actually. I think I'm lurking somewhere in between now. Yeah. So not quite an oldie. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Chalisi pur hoye. I'm definitely, and then Maharaj Ji says, Pajasi pag khisse. He said, when you step over 40, your feet start to slip. Meaning that your natural strength starts now, it doesn't increase now, naturally. So, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know which way to put it, I kind of fit into that bracket now. But, what does Jamaat mean? Jamati. Have you heard your parents saying, oh, mera Jamati si? Classmate, yeah. So somebody that was from your year group, from your class. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, Sagal, the entire humanity is from my class. So first of all, it's so important is not to discriminate with each other to say, well, they're from that faith. They're not Amritari. They are Amritari. It doesn't matter. We're all human beings. It doesn't matter if you're white, pink, purple, right? It doesn't matter what color you are. I don't know if you've got any purple people in the room. Right, no. But we're all human beings and we all experience emotions the same. Okay? So authenticity is so important. So what I encourage people to do is just say it out loud. I am feeling this way in this moment, right? And people think if you get comfortable with it, that means you have to live with it. That means you're now identifying with it and you have to live like that forever. That's not true, okay? So, we'll come back to that in a moment. And we'll have a look at some of the presentation that I put together. So, Belinda, it's not working. It worked from over there. Is it because the laptop's blocked? You want to just put the next slide? Oh, there we go. So how about, let's start off with answering this question. What does Sikhi provide you with in your life, personally? And what I will say is, how about having to think about this, but also thinking about what other things outside of Sikhi support and help you as well. And don't be afraid and ashamed of and sharing that too. But try and define it if you can. What is it directly that Sikhi helps you with, or what it provides you with? And if there are other things in life that also provide you with support for your mental well-being, please share that too. But just define the two, and that's fine. Nobody's going to be judged here. The Gurdwara is the one place that nobody should feel judged. But when I speak to people, it's almost the place that they feel judged the most. We're going wrong somewhere, right? We've really got to create a shift. If I was to describe Vaheguru's love isn't, oh, look at them, they're lovely, right? That was think of a black country accent, right, from our end. But Vaheguru's love means Vaheguru doesn't discriminate. If you see Vaheguru to be this stillness, Vaheguru doesn't discriminate against anyone. Yeah? So that's one thing that shouldn't happen in a Gurdwara. So please everyone not to feel judged in any form of way when you answer something. Okay? I'm someone that does talks on Gurdwara stages, and I talk about my mental health very openly on social media. Even though it wasn't in the beginning, by certain people, it wasn't received very well. And I was actually told to stop doing it. And they said, you're going to put a doubt in people's minds about Sikhi, and that Gurbani isn't miraculous and doesn't work if you start sharing these things. But that's another topic. Okay? And that's our own fault for taking Gurbani like that. And not taking Gurbani as the Guru's wisdom. That's something that we need to live by, instead of having this false hope of reciting it and magically everything becoming okay. Right? So then you're suppressed and told not to say anything if you are struggling because you read Gurbani, because it's going to give Gurbani a bad name. The amount of messages I get on my social media saying, I read Gurbani and I'm really struggling, but I can't tell anyone. And I think it's time to break these taboos and be real and start talking about the real issues on the ground. Yeah. So over to you, Sangatji. What does Sikhi provide you with in your life personally? How does it help you or support you in your life generally with your mental well-being? And then you can add to that, what other things help you that is potentially outside of Sikhi? So shall we start with Virji? What does Sikhi provide you with personally that helps you with your, generally with your... So, all right, it's not personally, make it very personal. To connect with? Naam. And what's Naam for you then? Because Naam is interpreted so differently for so many different people. Sorry? Vaheguru's name. It's not an easy question, is it? Sometimes we just live Sikhi, don't necessarily think about what is it providing me with. Or then being real, because today there's another thing. People are afraid with sharing, if they are using other things outside of Sikhi that are helping them, then to share that, to say, well, I can't tell anyone because I'm meant to be using Sikhi. And that's what I'm saying. Let's become comfortable with being real and sharing with each other what really is helping us. And it's okay if you're using and using the support of something outside of Sikhi that is helping you. Let's not pretend, because that's the first gun, is sat, is truth. Let's stop pretending. And that, because there's so much research that has been done, when we're not being authentic even to ourselves and allowing people to know that what's really going on inside of me, suppression of being authentic, has a detrimental effect on our mental health. Pretending to live a certain way that you're not really living. So let's start. Benji, I could see you like squinching your eyes and really thinking about this. What is it? What about for you, Benji? Yeah, well, yeah, Benji, you with the nice flowery chunni. Yeah. It provides you with humility. Okay. That's amazing, because what Benji just said there, sometimes we can feel that we're above others, but now you don't have that feeling, you don't feel that anymore. Sometimes people come into Sikhi and start feeling that they're above others now. You know, so many things work in so many different ways for so many different people. But Sikhi, that's not what Sikhi is teaching us, but it all comes down to interpretation of how somebody starts to take something and how they. What about you, Pali? Like, what would you say Sikhi is kind of, how does it help you, or what has it provided you with? So just doing Waheguru Simran. So I've come up with a few things what I feel generally Sikhi provides us with, that it might not be so obvious that it provides us with these things. And so, oh, there we go. That's my list there. Oh. So first thing I put up was self-awareness. And why did I put up self-awareness? Because there's certain things that we do that have become, for certain people in life, that are so normal. But until you don't start receiving the Guru's wisdom and you're thinking, oh wow, that was actually having a negative effect on my mind, but it's so normalized in society, and the Guru's now brought that to my awareness. And we start becoming more aware where certain things were just so normal. Yeah? So self-awareness is something that Gurbani has given me. Where you know, when you read something and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing that. And you don't only get that from Gurbani, you can get that from just generally people that are sharing wisdom and might not be from Gurbani. Yeah? Something that I feel that Sikhi has provided myself with is sangat, is community, is support. Yeah? Who feels like they've got that? Who feels like they've got a really good, strong sangat and this community and support network? Who feels like they've got that in their life? Okay. So I would say that was probably about 20-30% that put your hands up there. So it's quite a low number. Because just because we come to the Gurdwara, it doesn't mean we've got sangat. Having sangat is very different to just coming to a Gurdwara. Yeah, we'll look at that in a moment. Benji, yeah, please feel free to ask questions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Of course. Experience. Mm. Mm. Yeah, absolutely. So what Benji just shared there was that she grew up with a sense of community and strength and of Sangat, but that changed as life went on. When she got married, she felt like she kind of lost that. And it can have, and Benji said for her personally, it can have an effect on your mental health. These are things, even if you look at the NHS now, and you look at the things that they recommend for your well-being, it's a very similar structure to what the Guru gave us. To some of the things that we've started to lose. In a world today where we're apparently supposed to be more connected because of the amenities that we have, but there's many of us that feel very lonely and very disconnected. And we don't feel connected any. No, that's not the. It's not that that's the cause of mental health and from mental health and depression. It's the cause of the way society and living is becoming. We're now living at a time when I think if we have any more convenience now, I think it's just gonna get silly. Like I remember, like we grew up in a 2-bedroom terraced house, right, with 1 bathroom, and you know, and we didn't have a car as we were growing up. If you look at today's world, so just to let you guys know, and I know whenever I talk about myself, I know it confuses a lot of people because everyone sitting here is thinking, but Baji, like you're going on like you're so old, you're only 26, you know, and I know I look 26, Sangatji, but you know, I am 41. I've got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old and an 11-month-old. So, but today the convenience level is just crazy. You know, you can just press a few buttons on your phone. You can have some food at home. You know, some people have got the, you know, the privilege of having en suites. You can literally roll out your bed and you're in a shower. I remember my wife saying that they didn't even have a bathroom at home at one time when they were growing up. They used to go to the local swimming baths once a week. Yeah. Some people grew up like that. They would have one little toilet at the back of a terrace house. So we've come a long way where convenience is, you know, where convenience is, but I think we've declined where our mental health is concerned. It's quite strange, isn't it? The very things that we thought are going to bring us happiness, we've got them. We've got so many things today, but we don't, a lot of this sense of community has decreased. We come and sit in a Gurdwara, we still feel lonely and go home because there's not that connectivity. People tell me often, oh, at the Gurdwara I feel judged that because I'm divorced, because of such and such, because of whatever. So people are talking about me. Look at that first question they'll ask me is, why haven't you had kids yet? Why are you going to get married again? What's, you know, this is where we're supposed to feel this support and strength and growth, but the opposite can happen. But let's change that. I'm saying let's make it into a positive. The third thing for me that Sikhi gives is living life in awe, in a sense of devotion. We'll look at that as well in a moment. These are things that we won't often think about. Yeah? Did that come to anyone's mind? That's something that Gurbani provides us with, living in awe and devotion. Did that come to anyone's mind as I asked that question? Of course. Thank you. Sahaj is and balance. Gurbani talks a lot about that. And then something Uncle Ji said, which is the last thing I put. There's more, but this is just what I come up with in the way, which is living in the presence of Vaheguru. It's feeling that Vaheguru is forever present. We often forget that. You know, something amazing that Sant Varyam Singh from Ratwada Sahib, who passed away in 2001, he would say that Simran is literally just any means of reminding yourself that God is with you. But it's something that so obvious that Gurbani tells us that we forget. And we start to feel alone, we start to feel separated, we start to feel that God is distant, or we even start to doubt and say, well, how can God exist if this happens in life? If this happened to me, कित्थे गया रब फिर? And that's because of the interpretation we have of God. And that's because of the belief that we have of God. We come up with these, then we start to not believe in God. By the way, even though the Akal Takht Rahat Maryada says to be a Sikh is if you believe in one God, but from my understanding of Gurbani, the word belief doesn't actually exist in Gurbani. The word longing you'll find, the word yearning you'll find, the word seeking you'll find, the word having devotional faith you'll find, but not believing. Believing is a very stagnant place to be. We'll look at that as well in a moment, but I can't cover everything today, but I'll leave you with all these thoughts. Right? Let's look at these one by one a little bit, because I think these are solution-based for mental well-being. Right? Because I know the reality is, we can all sit here, we can do Simran together, which is great, and you might be able to go home and do that. But Sangaji, let's look at this. So first one, self-awareness. What do I mean by self-awareness? Let's think of an example in your mind, something that we've normalized in society and that we do with our colleagues at work or at home, but the Guru brought to our awareness, and Guru saying, oh, that's going to be detrimental to your mental health. Let's look at one of them. Benji? Yeah, so that's my next slide. You've been watching too many of my talks, Benji. All right? So, look, Sikhi provides us with things that we would take as being normal, the Guru saves us from. This, and we'll explain this in a moment. Guru Sahib Ji says, Prathame chodi parai ninda, uttar gai sab man ki chinda. And don't start thinking that, and I've not used the word slander, I've changed it to speaking negatively about others. And I'll explain why I've used that term instead. And don't think that this is now speaking negatively of others is the only cause of anxiety, and that once you stop doing this, your anxiety is going to be gone. But the Guru is saying, if you want to start living in this state of sukh, okay, so the way I like to word this is, these are the things, speaking negatively about somebody else is an action. Instead of saying that's bad, that's bop. Yes, the Guru uses the word bop, but I think in today's world, when we use the word bop, sin, people freak out and they say, I don't want to hear it. There's many youth today, I'm going to be a youth today, so many people of my era and age, when they hear things like, oh, that's a sin, they're like, they don't want to know. So I think the way I like to word it is, things like this, speaking negatively of other people, resists our soul. Think about it. It's the truth, isn't it? We are all a soul. Most of us don't know it, and that's okay, because that's the journey. The truth is that we're a soul at the core. Everyone. So Sangaji, what's one thing we've all got in common here? It doesn't matter what you identify as, doesn't matter if you identify as a female, male, brown, white, pink, short, tall. It doesn't matter what you identify as. But there's one thing we've all got in common here. And what's that? We're all human beings, and beneath that, within that, we've all got a soul. Sangaji, everyone here got a soul? Put your hands up if you got a soul. But it doesn't mean we've experienced our soul. Okay, let me rephrase that. That's not true what I just said. It doesn't mean we experience our soul all the time. But to experience your soul, how do you know you are experiencing your soul? How would you even know that? So for example, if you was blindfolded and you was given a piece of food to eat, right, and you've eaten that food before, you'll be able to know what food it is because of the ingredients in it, right? So what's some of the ingredients that a jalebi's got in it? Jalebi vich ki paya hunda? Sugar, right? It's really healthy, by the way. It's got sugar, white flour, colouring and it's deep fried. Punjabis love it. Do you think it's healthy? Who thinks that's a healthy food? Who loves a good hot jalebi? I'm not into jalebiyan, by the way. I'm more of a gulab jamun kind of guy, right? So Sangaji, you all know that you're experiencing a gulab jamun or a jalebi because of it's sweet, right? Because of what it's made up of. How do you know if we've all got a soul? How do you know if that's even true? I could just be saying it, you've all got a soul. I even made you put your hand up. But most of you just heard that you've got a soul, but you don't even know what it means to have a soul and what it means to experience your soul. Some of you will know and some of you won't know, but what does it even mean? Sangaji, if I said to you, what does it mean for you to have a soul? How do you know if you've even experienced your soul? Where would you start? What would you say to that? Does that prove to you that you've got a soul, like in experience? In your understanding of death? That's still our understanding of something. Just like the jalebi, think about this, just like the jalebi is made up of sugar, flour, what is, if we all agree sitting here, because Gurbani tells us very clearly that we've all got a soul. How do you know that we all definitely have a soul? How would we know that? Benji? It gives you a golden glow. Okay. Do you actually glow, Benji? Okay, amazing, amazing. 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 So now, that's perfect. Let's break that down now. Sangaji, there's certain things that we do that resist our very existence, which is the soul. But then how do we know in that moment where we're not resisting the soul? So let me now all ask you a question. The question is, have you all, everyone sat here, at some point in your life, have you experienced compassion? Okay, do you know what compassion is, by the way? Just to make sure. Baji, just give us a quick description of what compassion is. Like we're all on a different page here. What does it mean to you? Make it very personal. Being thoughtful, being kind, understanding someone. Sorry, Benjis, I'm not asking you like over there. I just won't be able to hear you because that dryer's going off like every little moment. Maybe somebody can shut that door so that that dryer's like not so loud here. I'm sure the Sangat will know that they're still welcome. So, anybody want to add to that description? What it means to be compassionate. What is compassion? It's a type of Mataji. Hanji? Giving your all. Amazing. Keep going. Give me more. It's a type of love. It's affection. All right. So let's break it down. All of these things aren't wrong. Yeah. I'm just going to define it a bit more accurately, and it's something that you'll be able to take away with you. And I'm going somewhere with this, by the way. Compassion is experienced as an human emotion. Okay? But it comes from a deeper place. So compassion can be described this way. Compassion is, now you're going to all put your hands up after I've given the definition to tell me that if you've experienced this in your life or not. Compassion is it's experienced as an emotion. It is an emotion that is saying, when you see somebody else suffering, you want that suffering to go away. Has anybody ever experienced that in their life? You see somebody suffering and you want their suffering to go away. Put your hands up if you experienced that. Everyone, if you've experienced that. Okay, amazing. Now tell me if there's someone you can think of right now in your life, it could be yourself or someone else that is struggling and you feel that compassion towards. Okay. Gurbani, now we'll see where we're going with this. Why did I use the example of jalebi or a gulab jamun? There's a makeup of our soul as well. We don't have to try and understand that my soul was existed before I came into this world. It's going to exist when I die. Forget all of that. Life is about now. The soul is about now. The jalebi is made up of sugar, flour. The soul is made up of what? Because it's important for us to know that we do experience our soul in moments of our life. Gurbani gives us many descriptions of the soul. Gurbani says that Waheguru is Da Gusai Meetala. Da is there spelled with Dadda Yaya, and the Taksal part is to change that to a Dalama. So Da there means Dayal. Dayal means compassionate. One of the natural attributes of our soul is that it is compassionate. Gurbani tells us that. So every time you have experienced in your lives compassion, you've somehow let go of your ego and your soul has shined through you. Does that make sense? Put your hands up if that makes sense. So now tell me, if you've experienced compassion, and now I'm just going to word it slightly differently. Now tell me, have you experienced your soul? Because a makeup of your soul is one of the makeup of your souls is compassion, just like sugar is of a sweet like jalebi. So God isn't far, is God? So if you start to think that way, God isn't far. Every time you get to experience an emotion like that, you can say what? You can say, thank you. You can actually express your gratitude. And so you can know your soul through your own experiences of life. Every time you speak to someone and you don't judge them and you don't discriminate against them and you listen to them with an open heart, you are experiencing love. Who here has experienced speaking to someone? A phone band kar liyo apna, thoda ja khayal rakhya karo. So Sangat ji, how many of you here have experienced when you do feel a little judgmental towards someone and you're kind of judging them? Who's experienced judging someone? But on the other side, who's experienced a moment when you're in such a sense of compassion, you're listening to somebody and they could be telling you something very horrific and there's zero judgment? Who's experienced that as well? That is love. Love doesn't judge because God is stillness. Sunna samad lagainda. God doesn't discriminate, just like the sun doesn't. It's a nature of your soul. Every time you've experienced not judging someone, you're experiencing your soul. So now, we have all at some point in our lives experienced Waheguru, because that is Waheguru. We just don't know how to stay there all the time. We just end up doing things that resist that soul. And this is one of the things. So the Guru Arjan Dev Ji said, if you're serious about living in a state of bliss and wanting to experience your soul, one thing you want to start doing is becoming conscious and becoming aware and cutting out rinsing people, basically. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that's a bit of a new term, and Uncle Ji's face went, rinse people? Right, rinsing people, in those of you that are new agey, means ਜਦੋਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਐਨ ਥੱਲੇ ਲਾ ਦੇਣਾ. Sangat ji, when somebody falls, when somebody makes a mistake, be very conscious, and with your awareness, remember there's a difference between consciousness and awareness. They're two different things. Consciousness is when you're experiencing your soul. Awareness is another, just what's the word I'm looking for? It's another ability of your own brain. It's something very physical. When Guru Sahib Ji talk about surti, and in Japji Sahib, where Maharaj Ji breaks these things down, there's something called metacognition in the world of psychology. Metacognition means when you're able to be aware of your thoughts. It doesn't mean you are now experiencing consciousness, but it's just another ability of your brain. So you've all experienced that, haven't you? You're having a certain thought and you're aware of it, but you still can't stop it. But you're aware of it. Yeah? So Sangat Ji, first thing is to become aware. Oh, I do gossip quite a lot, don't I? Don't judge yourself. Don't say, oh, tu paap karta. Right? You don't need to do all of that, right? Just say, okay, this is having a negative effect on me. This resists my soul. I think this type of language is so much healthier for us to start living with our soul. I always say, do you want to live with your soul or outside of your soul? And I want to live with my soul, because my soul is compassion, my soul is love. That's where I want to be. Yeah? So gossiping about others is when, imagine somebody trips up and makes a mistake. You automatically start looking down at them. And when you speak about it, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ? ਆਹੋ, ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਦੇਖੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓ. Right? So, and automatically, and has anybody ever said this? At least I'm not like that. Makes you feel better, doesn't it? But when you're saying, at least I'm not like that, Gyani Pindarpal ji said something beautiful. He said, why don't you switch it? He said, why don't you say, Sache Paatshah main ardas karda, oho insaan ਡਿੱਗ ਗਿਆ, ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰੋ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਰਾਸਤੇ ਤੇ ਪਾ ਦਿਓ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਬਚਾ ਕੇ ਰੱਖਿਓ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਡਿੱਗ ਜਾਵਾਂ. ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਗਿਆਨੀ ਪਿੰਦਰਪਾਲ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਇਹ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਆ. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ that instead of saying ਕਿਸੇ ਵੱਲ don't laugh and saying look how somebody fell ਕਰਕੇ, because ਭਗਤ ਕਬੀਰ ਜੀ says ਕਬੀਰ ਗਰਬ ਨਾ ਕੀਜੀਏ, ਰੰਕ ਨਾ ਹਸੀਏ ਕੋਏ, ਅਜੋ ਸੁਨਾਓ ਸਮੁੰਦਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਆ ਜਾਣਾ ਕਿਆ ਹੋਏ. Because Bhakt Kabir ji says, Kabir Garb, don't end up being arrogant when somebody else falls. Arrogant means when you start to look at them, they're a mess. Kabir Garb na kijiye. Rank means when somebody's weak. Right? Rank literally translates to poor, but that's not the context here. Because it's about what we need to look at somebody, in what context Guruji is speaking here. It can be translated, because some people that are wealthy, they laugh at other people that aren't wealthy. But if we go deeper into it, it covers so much in a broad context. It means when somebody's struggling or is weak, have fallen, don't laugh at them. And I see that so much of the so-called Sikhs that are being the heroes, that are saying that we've saved the Panth from somebody that messed up, and they're laughing at them. Well, by the way, you've just fallen as well, because you laughed at them. It's a fine path. ये रास्ता बहुत बरीक है, बहुत बरीक है. उद्दां ही नहीं कहता गुरु अमरदास जी ने खन्नियो तिखी वालहू निक्की एत मार्ग जाना. क्यों कहा सीगा? भगतां की चाल निराली, चालां निराली, भगतां केरी बिखम मार्ग चलना, लभ लोभ अहंकार तज तृष्णा, ये चीज़ां छड्डनियां आ. That's why this path is so fine, because we are to go beyond these things of laughing at other people. And Sangat Ji, this isn't about you have to do this. It's about if we want sukh. Do we want a blissful life, or do we want a life filled with misery? Put your hand up if you want a life filled of misery. You sure? You sure? Because I bet you're still going to go and gossip today. Put your hands up if you want a life filled with bliss. This is the first step towards it. Prathame chodi parai ninda, uttar gayi sab man ki. And then there's a link between anxiety, getting anxious and talking about other people. Karke fir dar rehenda na man te. It's deeper than that. So there's layers of why we get anxious when we speak about other people. One of the things is, the obvious, the common kind of sense thing is that we start thinking, say, if they find out that I said this about them. That's one of the things. But the other thing is, imagine you're lowering your energy to speak down of someone. So when you lower your energy, you are now taking on the negative energy that you are speaking about, and it will make you anxious. It's very deep. And I'll tell you what, I have not yet, and I've been through my fair share of psychologists and psychiatrists, not one told me yet, maybe Baljit, you should stop gossiping about people. That could be contributing towards your anxiety. But this doctor will tell us that. This doctor's cool. Because this doctor knows how the creation actually works. Yeah? Okay, so next thing. And I know, Balvinder, I can't really see you, so you can't tell me when my time is up. So I'm going to just keep going. Is that how it works? Thumbs up. Yeah? Huh? Okay, cool. I'll wrap it up on this, Sangaji, but what I'll say is, if somebody wants to stay back and speak to us, you know, please come and approach us. And I'm not going to be able to go through everything now. So this was the next thing for us is that community. Community is something that we provide online every Sunday on Zoom. We've been doing that since 2021, April. We contemplate Japji Sahib Gurbani. We're on the 19th Pauri, Asank Nav, Asank Thav, Agam, Asank Lo. So Sangat Ji, there's normally about 40 of us on there. Sangat changes, some are consistent, have been for over a year. And it's a very safe space, non-judgmental. We all, so I lead the session, but I always tell everyone I'm not a leader. I just lead a session. That's a certain skill set I have, just like you have your skill sets. There should be no hierarchy in Sangat. No hierarchy in Sangat. Okay, we're all equals. I'm just going to read out what I've wrote there, how I've translated that Pangati. What does Sat Sangat mean? Sat Sangat is Mil Sat Sangat Khoj Dasai Vich Sangat Har Parab Vasai Jiyo. Meet with those that are seeking and requesting to be shown the path of truth. Within that company is the presence of Vaheguru. So if you want to join these sessions, you can go onto our website, journeyofcompassion.com, and literally it's just your name and email. If you miss the session, you'll get a link, a private link to watch the session back. And if you're not on social media, you'll get whatever content I've created that week based on Gurbani, you'll get that as an email. You can come and see us downstairs or wherever we'll be floating around, and we'll help you sign up. We've got a laptop with us and we'll help you sign up for those sessions. So everything's based on Gurbani. It's a very safe space. It's changed people's lives. There were Sikhs that was in such horrific situations, self-harming for years, and they having panic attacks, or just if you just generally need Sangat, it doesn't have to be that kind of intense, you know, and it's helped them through it, and they're not now having panic attacks. They're not now self-harming. So it's helped a lot of people, these sessions have. And I also provide one-to-one sessions, which we can talk about if anybody needs that. Living a life in awe is just be more mindful when you go around. Look at the trees, look at the sky, you know, live in a sense of awe. Guru Nanak's looking at this world as this beautiful art and play. You know, unfortunately we grow up leave that being playful and a kid behind us. As kids, we would make all sorts of pictures out of clouds. Don't stop doing that. Because Guru Nanak didn't. Yeah? Live your life in awe. And the last one was this sense of balance, which I'm not going to go through. And just always remind yourself that Vaheguru is with you. Okay, so it'd be amazing to go through these topics in more detail. We could spend an hour on each part and each section, the importance of Sangat. But these are the 5 things that came to my mind as we were driving here. So Sangatji, thank you all for coming and being amazing and listening, and hopefully taking something away. And if anybody wants to go through these, I'm sure some of you will take a picture of the 5 things that I put up. Is it 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it is 5. God. Right, Panj, Pyale Panj Peer. So yeah, 5 things. So Sangatji can take a picture of that and join us on our Sunday sessions. We'll help you sign up, and stay blessed and keep saying Vaheguru. When I say Vaheguru, meaning being in a state of awe, not just saying a mere empty word. Okay, Vaho Vaho karte hain, sada anand hove meri mai. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh ji.
सत्कारयोग साध संगत